Airing from 1988 to 1999, the Canadian television series La Course Destination Monde would select 6 young individuals to travel around the world, with each contestant making 4-minute documentaries every 9 days, one for each nation they'd visit. With only a compact VHS camera, a tripod, and a pair of headphones, the participants were encouraged to experiment with their films, push the boundaries of the personal documentary, and find their creative voices, all with the chance for their short films to win prizes at the end of the season. During the 1990-91 season, titled A Course Europe-Asie, the contestants were sent to nations within Europe and Asia to shoot their documentaries, with the winner of the season being an individual some may be familiar with.
Excuse-moi Bruno, mais oui mais il me reste un dernier lead à faire. Où est-ce que je l'ai mis? La map, je sais pas, il est ici! Bonjour, mon nom c'est Denis Villeneuve. Et je suis heureux.
This is Denis Villeneuve, and this is his art. Born on October 3rd of 1967 in the small village of Gentilly in Quebec, Villeneuve held a certain passion for film that didn't become too apparent at first. While he was attracted to the idea of telling good stories, his real love belonged to the world of science fiction, and the focus of his studies were in the science field, up until he entered the University of Quebec at Montreal, where his focus shifted to film entirely. This is when the Course Destination Monde comes in, where he spent half a year around the world alone with a digital camera. After the show ended, he began working for the National Film Board of Canada, where his very first short film, which follows a photographer sent on assignment to Jamaica, would be funded and produced. After this, he'd go on to make his first 2 feature films, August 32nd on Earth, a film about a woman experiencing an existential crisis after a car accident, and Maelstrom, a film about a woman whose encounter with the son of the man she accidentally killed offers her a chance for redemption. Also, the entire movie is narrated by a talking fish. However, to Villeneuve, these 2 films were practically a failure.
The 2 first movies I made, specifically the second one, Maelstrom, was quite arrogant and disconnected, and was at the time the most successful things I'd done. For me, in the same time, a big failure because I felt that the movie didn't convey what I wanted to talk about. That's why I stopped, because after Maelstrom I said, I'm not a filmmaker, I just want someone that wants to show off with the camera, and I can't use the language properly, and I don't know what I'm doing really, so I stopped.
So, he'd go on to take a long 9-year break, where he'd focus on working on his craft as a filmmaker and a storyteller, and he'd continue with his next film, Polytechnique, in 2009. From there, his career would continue with many of the films people know of today. While I did go through most of his filmography, I skipped Enemy and Doom Part 2, my bad. There's an emphasis I have to put on only 3 of his films, so I chose...
Do you have children? I don't have...
Prisoners, a film about the disappearance of 2 girls and a father taking matters into his own hands in order to find them. This film is a slowly unraveling mystery that has all the puzzle pieces fall in place at the right time. This one's my personal favorite.
PD found something.
Sicario, a film about an FBI agent enlisted by a task force to take down a powerful Mexican drug cartel. Probably my second favorite film here, filled with stellar performances as well as having one of the most memorable scenes I've seen in his work.
The grieving lawyer. Your wife. You think she'd be proud of what you've become? Don't forget about my daughter. Ah, sí. Tu hijita. No fue personal. Para mí sí. Not in front of my boys. Ahora vas a conocer a Dios. I know it's real.
and Blade Runner 2049, a film about a Blade Runner's discovery of a long-buried secret, which leads him on a search for a Blade Runner that's been missing for 30 years. While it's the most visually beautiful of the three, this film was incredibly difficult to watch due to how slow it is most of the time, so it's my least favorite of the three. Sorry. But what do these three movies have in common?
And the Oscar goes to Roger A. Deakins, Blade Runner 2049.
Cinematographer Roger Deakins and Denis Villeneuve have worked together on projects exactly 3 times, and that's why I'm bringing these up, all being completely different stories tackling completely different topics. Prisoners with violence and morality, Sicario with the war on drugs and morality, and Blade Runner 2049 with identity and isolation. These films all share a rich visual style that none of the other films have. It's thanks to the work between Deakins and Villeneuve that one can have such distinctly different projects all look uniquely gorgeous while still keeping purpose in every shot. Simply a phenomenal duo. With his films receiving a total of 28 Academy Award nominations and obviously being the director behind Dune Part 1 and Part 2, Denis Villeneuve has found massive success in Hollywood shortly after his return in 2009, and things aren't stopping anytime soon as he's currently working on the 3rd entry of the Dune series. After watching most of his filmography, I've come to realize how carefully detailed a lot of Villeneuve's work is. There's so much power to his stories that I've come to appreciate even if some of it isn't for me. And with all that I know now, Denis Villeneuve has honestly become one of my favorite directors of all time.